Shalom, shalom. It's your brother JAHsh. Welcoming you to another episode of Droppin Jewels. And just feeling kind of tired today. But it always it's amazing how I always start to going to get something started, and I'm looking through YouTube or whatnot, and I notice topics that come up among Yasharal that were things that I either mentioned or had thoughts about before. So that's a testimony to how great Yahweh is, right? Because Yahweh monitors our thoughts as Yasharal, and brings up things amongst our community so that we can suss it out. You know what I mean? So this one in particular, and once again, all praises to Yahweh, for being in our chest, inside us, in our treasure chest, you know what I'm saying? And igniting us and giving us life and His breath. So this topic keeps coming up amongst Yasharal, and I can only surmise that it's of importance as we are developing and coming into our own as a nation again, right? All praises to Yahweh. And that topic is the RBG Hebrew, right? And once again, this wasn't something I woke up this morning and was like, I'm about to get into this. I had other topics I was going to start breaking down and making vid for, and want to work on some music, but I just want to reiterate some things. And first of all, I want to go into my stance on the so-called RBG Hebrew, and that is, I'm not for it. I don't see a need for Yasharal to have any other titles amongst who we are, like RBG Hebrew or RBG Yasharalite or RBG this or something else to that effect. But this might be kind of a lengthy video, maybe even longer than the Kanye one. But because it warrants a lot of talking points, right? So an RBG Hebrew, one of the reasons why I don't consider myself an RBG Hebrew, first of all, is that when you look at the RBG community of today, then you see that amongst the RBG community, you have a lot of folly. You have a lot of things that our people are able to get away with under that title or moniker, if you will, that you're just not able to get away with as Yasharal. And first and foremost, it always goes back to the core, to what's within, to who you are. Who you are as a Yasharal, is something that only comes to you from within. Yahweh can only reveal to you that from within. It doesn't matter how many people have the name Yasharal in their title or consider themselves Yasharal. If Yahweh hasn't injected you, hasn't ignited your DNA, hasn't breathed the breath of wisdom in you so that you can make a spiritual connection with that, then it's not going to matter no matter what. So first and foremost, you can't have a spiritual connection with RBG, right? All it means is red, black, and green. Those are just colors. Now, if you want to get esoteric with it or something crazy like, oh, I see the color red and it reminds me of this, and I see the color black, it reminds me of this, or all the colors black, it reminds me of this, or I see the color green, it reminds me of this. Well, I even have a green shirt on, so then that's another issue. right? So the issue is, why does Yasharal, especially those who know from within that they're Yasharal, need any other titles to go along with that? And before I started making this video, I was watching Maccabees TV, and brother Danyala, he brought up a good point, and this was something that Yahweh put in us a while back, and that was just being Yasharal alone is majestic, and representing Yasharal alone has its own glory, if you will. Of course, all that glory comes from Yahweh. You know, so why are a lot of brothers actually like arguing and like literally putting up a fight to want to be claimed RBG, right? Because it's not even a point, like, brothers who know they're Yasharal, you'll want to fight for it up to a certain point, because of course we represent the Torah, we represent our culture that so many people have in these books. But when it comes to something like a flag or a symbol, to fight for it, I don't know. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are going to disagree over symbols, and a lot of people are going to disagree over visual stimuli, right? But whenever people are united in knowing who they are as a group, then that's something that you don't need visual stimuli for. You know from within. So it doesn't surprise me that this is a hot topic amongst Yasharal. You know what I'm saying? Especially at this time, whenever all of Yasharal as a nation are trying to find themselves more, find out who they are, not necessarily who they are as a person, but who they are as persons, which is all Yahweh's doing. Because Yahweh is going, as the things unfold in this world, and we turn our souls more so towards Yahweh or Yah, then all these things tend to unfold. So whenever it comes to an RBG Hebrew, right, then that's no different than a red, golden, green Hebrew, or that's no different from a Moorish Hebrew, and you know, an Egyptian Hebrew. See, that's when you start getting into that, then you start to realize the folly of that, right? So it's just not needed. It's just not needed, right? Egyptian Hebrew. But this is a hot topic amongst Yasharal right now. So what do you think? What do you think? You know what I mean? The brothers in Torah Nights, see, it's ironic, because when we had our fallout with that one dude, you know what I'm saying? Then I was Tritell and I were talking, right? And I'm not sure if everyone remembers the comments from the chats. And what Yahweh had revealed to me was that certain brother, because we warned him, we were like, yo, once you leave this, then you're going to be open for all kinds of other groups and all kinds of other ideologies and all kinds of other thoughts and all kinds of other, man. Anyways, one of the things that was revealed was that a certain brother was going to end up not becoming, but what was within him was going to reveal itself, right? So I think, in quotations, divine justice, being that this is a hot topic amongst Yasharal, that it reveals itself, right? And not only was it revealed that the brother would end up gravitating more so towards Christianity, but also more so towards RBG. And look what we have now, right? So that, being that RBG has fighters who are willing to argue the point with people who are Yasharal, then, or I should say the people, because in all actuality, according to the Torah, Yasharal is the people, meaning the standard for being, right, as a people. So it should be no surprise that what we see revealed to us is the tares being separated from the wheat, so to speak. But a lot of our own people who claim to be Yasharal, or who want to claim the Hebrew title, so-called, right? They are reluctant to voice the things that are within them that may go against those who know that they're Yasharal and who fight for the Tarawah and who fight for the name that Yahweh has given us, which we should come to realize will happen. Well, there will be many who will be reluctant to actually reveal their motives, so to speak. But there's nothing hidden, at least not on this side. My whole plan, if you will, is the resurgence of the Israelite nation, the true Israelite nation. You obviously know that those people who are in the quote-unquote Holy Land are not the true Israelites. If they were the true Israelites and they were living according to Israelite ways or Yasharal, then there will be much more righteousness going on in this world. And of course, we can get into that's another subject all in itself. But you know for sure that that's one of the fights that we have here as Yasharal. You know, a lot of brothers can't understand that even though we weren't always Yasharal as a nation in name, our people are the forerunners of all things righteous. All things righteous. All. So even if you were to take it back in time to Adama, right, to first man, and what first man was able to establish upon the earth, and what first man was able to bring as a renewal to what was already going on the earth at the time, so-called. And then further on down the line, first man established itself and began to group, so to speak. But we all know that first man is the man who is a vessel for Yahweh, or is a vessel for Rawak of Yahweh. First man is, as we would say, a junior Alahayim, a vessel for the principles, a vessel for the principalities. And as first man expands, then it becomes a physical representation. She becomes a physical representation of these principles. Like, just to make it simple and not to veer off course too far, like I was born on a certain day, you were born on a certain day, you're not the same as me. We are, even though we link up as Yasharal, me being born on the day and time and just being placed here according to Yahweh's will, I have a certain group of principalities that I represent that you're not going to represent, right? And that's one of the things that we have a problem with in Yasharal, is that Yasharal feels like they all got to be the same. But that's just not the truth, man. Even in the simplest form of 12 tribes and 12 states of being and principalities, which you can refer to the videos that I put out as far as the two mountains, the positive and the negative, right? Attributes, but yet not one over the other as far as Yasharal attributes. If every tribe person respected each other tribe's attributes, then we would get along very well, right? I'm not the king. I don't walk around like I'm pointing my scepter at people, you know? I don't have the kingly attributes as a Judah tribe or Yahweh, you know what I mean? But that just comes with soul searching. All praises to Yah. You know what I mean? So this whole topic of RBG is going to be a dividing line, reference to Joshua or Yahweh, dividing line in the dirt. Who's going to be on this side? Who's going to be on that side? We're up until the last of the last. You're going to find that Israelites want to be a part of the world, right? And not be set apart. Like my man Eli said, man apart, get torn apart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All praises to Yah, bringing that fire, man. And it's all a blessing. It's a beautiful thing, man. All praises to Yah. You know, he keeps us here and he keeps us living vessels. And I just get excited. I get excited to see that the sword is coming down. It's dividing us all up, right? Because what happens when that happens? It's happening in an organic fashion. It's happening in a way that people are going to start to see people for who they are inside, right? Which is what we all been waiting for. Because then nobody will be able to hide how they feel, right? It's kind of like that time on that movie Higher Learning, right? Whenever the character of Omar Epps knocked on the door of Michael Rappaport, right? And because Michael Rappaport had passed by him earlier in the week or whatever and was like, "Coon, it's 95." And when he was talking to Deja, or talking to his girl or his woman, and he knocked on the door and he confronted Michael Rappaport. He was like, so why don't you say it in my face? I'm here right now, right? How you feel? And Michael Rappaport didn't say nothing. But he was always busy walking by, yapping and yapping, right? And he saw when Omar Epps balled up his fist, he was going to get rocked based on what he said. Or he could be. He potentially could be rocked. And then Omar Epps was like, and caused him to shook. And what happened? When Omar Epps walked away, he closed the door and destroyed the room. And destroyed the room of his Jewish roommate, no doubt. So there's all kinds of jewels going on here. That's why I say I give praises to Yah, because some of us can explain things in an abstract way and use examples that we took part, that use examples that we go through every day in order to explain higher concepts and things that affect us within. While some brothers are more skilled at explaining higher concepts straight out of the so-called book itself, our Tharah in word form, in physical form. You know what I'm saying? And some brothers can do a little bit of both. Some people, some of our brothers and sisters can't do any of that. And they show the example of how to live through their work, through their actual work out in the field, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And I guess you perhaps could take that to the slavery field, or to the Babylonian field, or to the Egyptian field, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Because when it all boils down to us, if we're all here physical, right, which we are, then we are here. So we can't knock each other. You know what I mean? We just got to be more receptive to seeing what Yahweh is doing with each other. And that's the whole point. That's how we build a nation, man. And then, you know, and if you didn't know where I stand, or I just put it out there, you know what I mean? I'm about developing and edifying each other so that we can clear a path for Dawad to be on top, you know what I mean? And just get this truth out here. But in order for that to happen, a lot of things are going to fall away. Y'all already know this, though. The so-called fake the European lineage of who claims to be the British royals, right? That should be Dawad's seed right there, no matter what. And that can sound vague, but you got to do your history. And that's one thing that trips me about this whole RBG Hebrew, because I see a lot of brothers coming out and they the way they talk, it doesn't sound like they have actually had time to actually study. I'm sorry for using that word actually so much, but to study and to seek out how we got here and the plight of our people from modern history, at least the modern history that we have, that we can sift through and that we can actually look into. You know what I'm saying? For instance, Black Panthers, civil rights movement, even to so-called chattel slavery, right? You have evidence of that all over the place, from the Hawaiian Islands to the British Isles to Africa, so-called, to India, to a lot of these places. But you're not going to ever realize that unless you've ever took time to seek and study these things, right? So these are things that are represented openly and put out in the world, like the so-called Israelis openly into the world consider themselves the actual Israelites, right? So you would think, and this is might be a simple concept, right? But you would think that they themselves would know that the so-called black man and Negro over here is the Israelite, regardless of what tribe we are, and to be more vocal on the world scene as far as that is concerned. But we obviously see that that's not the case. What is the United States to them, or to the ones, I should say, in power over the so-called Israelis, the Zionists, so to speak? We are cannon fodder. We are chattel slavery still, and we are something that can be rented out and sold to the highest bidder, because we have much more other so-called nations coming in and buying up United States. And while we're still here running the system through manual labor, through our labor, right? Now, I'm not saying it doesn't take thought for them to do that, because it does. It takes thought for them to do that. It takes thought for us to do that, to be involved. But as the tables turn, right? Hip hop reference, Grandmaster Flash, as Yahweh Grandmaster flashes us, you know what I'm saying? Then we flip, the tables turn, and we start to get elevated, because why? The meek shall inherit the earth. So that means we just do our regular things, praising Yahweh, and we get elevated, and the other nations get lower, right? And it all boils down to power. But we all know Yahweh is Elohim. So Yahweh is power. So according to Yahweh, he allowed all the other nations to subdue us. It's plain and simple. So on the RBG tip, we have a lot of RBG people out there who are into a whole lot of stuff, right? You got RBG Egyptians. You got people who are RBG sorcerers. You got people who are RBG, like Daniela put it, homosexuals. You got people who are RBG, and I'm just being nice, you know what I mean? because all praises to Yahweh. And you know, RBG has so many different type of so-called African Americans, and in some cases not even African Americans. You got so-called Caucasians and so-called Hispanics, so to speak, and you got all these other people under RBG too. So you could see why Yasharal, as Israelites, need to focus on Yasharal, because to be fair, we have the same thing amongst Yasharal today. We have so-called Hispanics, we got so-called Caucasians, right? We got so-called Negroes. We have all of that. Asians. Just because you don't see it on YouTube doesn't mean it ain't there. And that's the thing about social media, is that we get blinded by that. We get blinded by that. So what's the point? What's the point of all of it? The whole point of all of it is for we to be channels to bring people to serve Yah, and to pound in people's brains that Yahweh dwells within you, right? Follow Yah, serve Yah, but seek Yah within you so that you can be a walking testament to Yasharal, right? But when we lose focus and we start arguing about, should we be RBG Hebrews? Should we be this and that, you know? But yeah. Man, Yahweh knows all things. Yah knows all things, all things. So what do you think? What do you think about the whole RBG, all of that? You know what I mean? Because once again, we have brothers out there who consider themselves RBG Hebrew. They're like, I'm going to hoist this red, black, green flag, and I'm going to be a Hebrew. But if you read the Torah and you study the Tanakh, you will see that that doesn't even line up with what's in the Torah and the Tanakh. Even Marcus Garvey was who arguably is the forerunner of the RBG movement, surrounded himself with Hebrews, so-called. But he never, at least to my knowledge, didn't say that he was a Hebrew. I mean, I could be wrong, but what would make Marcus Garvey create the RBG to unify under, right? Because if he was surrounded by Hebrews, that wouldn't even be the first color choice. Because if you read the Torah, what color choices do you see in there? You see scarlets, you see turquoises or light blues, baby blues, sky blues, etc. You see purple. You see, you possibly could find red, black, and green in the breastplate, but not every Israelite wore the breastplate. So you look at our garments, even look at the wilderness tabernacle, the color choices that are in the veil, right? You don't see, there's not RBG in that. You know what I mean? Neither is it red, gold, and green either. For those of us who have come out of the so-called Rastafarian Hebrew, whatever mentality. You know what I'm saying? When in all actuality, if you really study, it's not Rastafarian. It should be Tafarian, or Ta meaning the Most High, not Ras, which is the Prince. But if you want to get esoteric or whatever, we are all Rases as Yasharal, because we're all princes, according to the Amharic language. Now, that's just a language thing. You know what I mean? Which is a beautiful thing. Praise Yah that we're all coming to our own understanding of Semitic languages too. And big ups to the brother Yahweh for bringing out the languages and, enlightening us. You know what I mean? For real. In every sense of that word, bringing the inner light to us, the true. Because Yasharal is the light, man. We're the light, right? So I don't want to get too preachy on that, but I just want to touch on this topic of the RBG Hebrew that's floating around. because we know what it means. Those of us who understand warfare and strategy amongst Yasharal, that you understand that in this mental strategy and mental warfare time of heightened escalation, that we need to be focused on reestablishing our nation. Then all these other nations are going to have to fall, and that's going to be by Yahweh's doing, because Yahweh's going to smash them down. It's going to divide them up. The sword is going to float around. None of them have lamb's blood on their doorpost. Firstborns are going to be killed. You know what I mean? And hey, just know that's the truth. Can't escape it. Can't escape it. Yahweh is raising up Yasharal again. Nobody can do nothing about it. So you either like it or you can lick the dust like the serpent, right? Right? So all praises to Yahweh, man. You know, all these nations are going to go. I mean, the Middle East is finna get, man, y'all already know where fire is about to be at. It's going to be over here. It's going to be in the Middle East, so-called. Europe's going to get blazed up. All those places, you know what I'm saying? They're going to have to learn. All the earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof. So this is Holy Land where we're at right now, right? As more of our people, and that's one thing I was telling y'all about with strategy. Strategy. Not everybody who knows that they're Yasharal has to be like, I'm Yasharal, boastful. You know, you can be Yasharal, still work amongst the jobs that you're at here in so-called Babylon, and still build up our people, man. Hey, yo, I'm Yasharal, man. You know about Yasharal? You know what I'm saying? All praises to Yah. Well, let me hip you onto this. I mean, it just spreads just like that, man. It's fire. It's fire. People are so filthy out here that even a little match will set them on fire. You know? Even a little match. Drop one jewel, man, and they might be surrounded by a lot of filthy people who are just drenched in gasoline. Drop one jewel, man. Drop one, you know, drop one of those jewels and it strike up against that flint. That one little spark is going to ignite all that whole camp, all that whole thing. That's why I say, you know, all praises to Yah. You know, you never really can see the full impact of what you do. You just have to walk that walk. It's like Torah nights, right? We do our little radio shows, our talks. We put out videos. You know what I'm saying? We're known as enemies. You know, we're known as saviors. You know what I'm saying? We're known as a loose knit group. We're known as a tight knit group. You know, Yahweh has truly made us an enigma, which is the way it should be. That's why we should have, if you want to call it pride, as being a Torah night. We fight for this Tharawah. This life that we walk is the Tharawah. Yahweh